5 people put a bottle filled with ice and cold water in a cave. These 500 people have no idea that this is going to be their last cave diving. Because now an incident is going to happen with them that is going to take them straight to the mouth of death. The GoPro camera on their head is recording every movement of them. This cave diving incident is one of the most dangerous and heartbreaking incidents in history. February 6, 2014, 5 people. They're planning to do some dangerous and challenging cave diving. For this adventure, they chose a dangerous cave in Norway, Plura Cave. Plura Cave was already infamous because there had already been some incidents in Plura Cave in which people had to lose their lives. But despite this, these 500 people chose this dangerous cave for cave diving. Look at the map of this cave, in which there are 2 entrances to enter this cave. The most dangerous part of this cave is this one, which is about 430 feet deep from the surface. And this is the largest cave in northern Europe, which is filled with water. And this cave is 3 kilometers long. You assume that it is impossible for an ordinary person to enter this cave. But still, these 5 guys chose this cave. The reason for this is that these 5 people were certified cave divers who had gone to such dangerous caves before. And 2 of these 5 people had gone to this cave before. Last time, these 2 people entered this cave and came out of this cave while exploring the cave. Because of this, they were more confident to go to this cave. But this time, something different was about to happen, something no one saw coming. 5 brave people entering the cave are Patrick, Kai, Visa, Jari H and Jari U. And Patrick and Kai are those people who had gone to this cave before. So these 2 people were going to lead this mission. But this time, to make this adventure more challenging, instead of entering through this way of the cave, the people of Plura Lake decided to take this way and get out of here. These 5 people had come with full preparation to do this adventure. If everything went according to plan, then they could have completed this whole cave exploring in just 5 hours. To go to this cave, they made 2 teams. Patrick and Jari H were there, and in the second team, Kai, Vesa, and Jari U were there. Since Patrick and Kai had been in this cave before, Patrick was leading the first team, and Kai was leading the second. The plan was that the first team would go inside the cave, and after 2 hours, the second team would enter the cave. Actually, the second team would go inside the cave after 2 hours because when the first team would enter the cave, the water would get dirty due to the turbulence in the water. So the water needs at least 2 hours to clean again. Then the second team entered the water. The temperature was 3 degrees Celsius. These 5 people reached the Plura Lake. The cold was so much that a thick layer of ice had formed on the lake. To enter the Plura Cave, they had to break this thick ice. Patrick used a chainsaw to cut the ice into a triangular shape under which the water was very cold and crystal clear. Patrick and Jari H both enter the lake and slowly enter the Plura Cave. They started their underwater scooter with which they could go inside the cave, so that they can spend less energy and enjoy this adventure. Their start is fine, but they don't know that everything is going to change in a short time. Let me tell you about Patrick, who had already been through 2 similar incidents before, where things got so bad that he lost 2 of his crew members. But Patrick, forgetting those incidents of the past, is moving forward on this new journey today. How dangerous this adventure was going to be, these people also knew it very well. That's why, to complete this adventure, they brought all these advanced technology gears with them. And to breathe, they were using a closed-circuit gear, which is called a rebreather. As you know, when we breathe, we inhale oxygen gas. And when we exhale carbon dioxide gas. And a rebreather is a technology in which this exhaled carbon dioxide gas is filtered and it is converted into oxygen, and divers can use that oxygen again. The advantage of this rebreather technology is that divers do not have to carry an extra oxygen cylinder with them. Divers can stay underwater for a long time. No matter how advanced the technology is, sometimes it also malfunctions. That's why both of them were carrying an extra rebreather and an open-circuit gas cylinder as backup. Rebreather technology is like two sides of a coin. If divers start breathing quickly, then the rebreather filter will not work properly, and it will not be able to filter carbon dioxide quickly. The diver will start inhaling the same carbon dioxide again, which will have a lot of side effects on the body. They get dizzy due to the dissolution of carbon dioxide in the blood, get confused, and eventually die. This situation is called hypercapnia. Patrick and Jari H. were slowly going into the depth of the cave, diving down this slope to enter a 250-meter-long air chamber. So far, their journey is fine, but now they were going to enter the most dangerous part of this cave. And this was the deepest part of this cave. There was a lot of water pressure in this depth of the cave. Gradually, these two divers had entered the deepest part of the cave. At this depth, they stopped their underwater scooter, because they wanted to see the beauty of the cave at this place. So far, everything was going according to the plan. Now these two had to get out of the depth of the cave. For this, they had to go up through this steep path, which was almost at a 90-degree angle. Patrick was walking ahead, so he crossed this 90-degree section and started going up. Jari H. had to follow him. Patrick comes up a little and waits for Jari to come behind him. But then he sees that the light on Jari's head is moving fast here and there. It seemed as if Jari wanted to call Patrick to him. Patrick goes up to Jari H. and sees that Jari is completely panicked, because of which he is breathing fast. Patrick sees that why is Jari shaking so much. Then Patrick sees that Jari's scooter cable is stuck between two stones, and Jari is trying again and again to pull it out. Because of this panic, Jari was breathing so fast because his rebreather's filter was not able to filter carbon dioxide properly. Because of this, Jari asks Patrick for a backup oxygen cylinder. Patrick helps Jari and gives it to his rebreather too. Slowly, the situation was getting a little under control. Then Jari switched back to his own rebreather. But suddenly, his rebreather falls down from Jari's hand. In his panic, Jari inhaled the cold water from the cave along with his breath, and Jari starts shivering. Patrick understands that Jari can't escape now, and Patrick now takes an emotionally challenging decision, and Jari leaves Edge there and moves on. But now the problem was that in so much depth, he spends a lot of time handling this situation. Because of which, Patrick's risk of decompression sickness was increasing. Actually, when a diver dives as deep as possible in the water, his body's tissues absorb as much gas as possible due to pressure. And the longer he stays in that depth, the more his body's tissues will absorb the gas. Now, because Patrick had stayed in such a depth for so long, when he saw his dive computer, he was telling that to save Patrick from decompression sickness, he would have to slowly come out of the water. And now he would have to dive in this cold water for another 400 minutes. Seeing this warning on the screen of the dive computer, Patrick couldn't believe, because just before this incident, the dive computer was showing only 120 minutes, and all this was happening at a depth of 437 feet. And 2 hours had passed by. The other team, who was outside, had no idea what was going on inside the cave. After 2 hours, these 3 people of the other team also dive in the Plura Cave, and it would have taken them less than an hour for those 3 people to come out. The 3 of them reached the deepest part of the cave. The three of them slowly cross the deepest area of the cave and reach the 90-degree turn. Then they hear a beep sound coming from Yari's equipment. In these three divers, Vesa was going ahead. Kai was in the middle. Vesa sees the body of Jerry Edge, who was dead. Now the problem was that because of Jerry Edge, the thin part of the cave was blocked. And as I just told you, the longer they stay deep in the cave, the more the risk of decompression sickness will increase for them. Due to the delay in this depth, they feel worse. In depth, Jerry Yu's equipment fails. His rebreather was not working properly, and he had to breathe using the backup oxygen cylinder. He tries to take it, but there was so much pressure in the depth of the cave. Jerry Yu could not handle this pressure. And in the depth of the cave, he breaks his breath. Now, the situation was such that Jerry Edge's body blocking the way ahead. Behind him, Vesa was trying to handle this situation. Behind Vesa was the body of Jerry Yu, who blocked the cave's deepest part. Kai was at the back. Kai had understood that there had been a major accident in the cave. So Kai decides not to go ahead and go back. Kai starts going back. Now the problem was that Kai had a lot of oxygen shortage. And Kai's dive computer warned of decompression stops. Now, the situation was such that if Kai wanted to avoid sickness, he had to exit the cave slowly. But he does not have enough oxygen supply, so he will be killed due to lack of oxygen. So Kai decided that he would take the risk of decompression sickness and try to get out of this cave as soon as possible. On the other hand, Vesa somehow moves forward by removing the body of Jerry Edge. Here, Kai had moved so fast that he had skipped many of his decompression stops and he had reached the air chamber. At first, Kai thought about stopping there and waiting for the rescue team, but the chances of a rescue happening at that spot were very slim. Now, the situation was such that Patrick, Vesa, and Kai, all three wanted to get out of this cave. But all three had no idea who has been killed in this accident and who is left. Patrick was slowly moving forward while taking care of decompression sickness, but Kai and Vesa were moving very fast. Then Patrick saw a light coming from behind him. Actually, Vesa was running so fast that he had reached near Patrick. Vesa and Patrick come out of the other side of the cave. They thought that Jerry Edge, Jerry Yu, and Kai, all three have been killed in this cave. Meanwhile, Kay came out of the cave and reached the spot where they had cut through the ice to enter. But the temperature was so low that by the time Kai returned here, the ice had frozen there again. Somehow, he broke through the ice and got out of the lake, but Kai still did not know if anyone was alive in this accident or not. Kai felt that he was the only one alive in this accident. He went back to his car, started the engine, and rested inside. Actually, Kai had been diving in that cold water for 11.5 hours continuously. So, Kai was not able to fully recover physically and mentally. After a few hours, Vesa and Patrick also come to the car and see that the headlamps of the car are on, which means that Kai has also survived in this accident. The news of this incident gradually becomes viral. All three of them go into depression after this incident. The local authorities launched a rescue operation to retrieve the bodies of H and U, but their bodies were so deep in the cave that they couldn't be brought back. So the officials decided that now their bodies should be buried there, and they sealed the Plura Cave and banned anyone from going there. However, Patrick, Kay, and Vasa wanted to recover his friends' bodies, so, with the help of professional drivers, they unofficially launched a rescue mission and brought out the bodies of our friends. Friends, let me tell you that such a heartbreaking incident happened in the cave of Nadipati. When a person named John Johns gets stuck in the dead end of the cave due to a small mistake. and until death comes, he is stuck in it, which has never been rescued. The incident of Nati Pati really kills the soul. You can see this heartbreaking incident of Nati Pati on the screen in this video. I will meet you there.